Welcome to part number 4 of the Mega Man X4 Kirby Challenge. In this part we are going after Storm Owl, who has always bothered me just because of his name. I don't like how they reused Storm so early on in the series. It had only been 3 games since Storm Eagle. Why didn't they just name him, I don't know, Hurricane Owl or something like that? At least it's not as bad as the shameless Storm Eagle ripoff known as the Skyver. Anyways, in this stage we have to use the aiming laser we got from Cyber Peacock. The aiming laser is one of the strangest weapons they have ever introduced in a Mega Man game. When you are using it, you have a giant cursor, and you need to use the cursor to target enemies, and then after that, a giant laser will come out and kill them. The weapon is a cool idea, but I have a few problems with how they executed it. First, the cursor is way too sensitive. If you just slightly tap up or down, the cursor will go flying. It is ridiculous. And as far as I know, there are no ways to adjust the sensitivity. I understand why they made it so sensitive. I'm guessing that they wanted you to be able to target multiple enemies in a short period of time, but it's so sensitive that it makes targeting enemies harder. I just wish that they made it a little bit slower, but that's not the main problem I have with it. The main problem with the weapon is it's too slow. Even when you do manage to lock on to enemies, the laser takes a while to kill some enemies. I see no reason to use the aiming laser, which takes, sometimes a couple seconds to kill an enemy, when an X-Buster charge shot would just destroy the enemy nearly instantaneously. The problem is the weapon is just too slow, it's too cumbersome to use, and the cursor is just so sensitive. And it makes it so that the aiming laser really isn't usable. It's not a great option. It's fun to use, I'll give you that. I actually had a lot of fun with this stage. Just using the aiming laser, I don't know, there's a certain charm to it that you don't get with some of the other weapons in X4. It's a neat idea, it's not very practical. There's one wall in this stage that cannot be destroyed with the aiming laser, so I was forced to use the X-Buster, which you can now use with special weapons by pressing the triangle button. So yeah, I'll be using the X-Buster a few times during the Kirby run. A few bosses that can only be hurt by it, and you'll see, just a few exceptions to the rule, nothing too bad. Anyways, Storm Owl himself really isn't that hard, even with the aiming laser. The great thing about the fight is that Storm Owl will always appear in a few predetermined locations. He can only appear in one of the 4 corners, so all you have to do is keep an eye out for which corner he's going to go to, and then quickly aim the laser at him. Once you start hitting him with the aiming laser, he will become stunned, and afterward he will just fly off the screen and repeat the same process again. It's very similar to most of the other boss fights in X4. If you use their weakness, it's going to stun them, and then that will cause them to repeat the same pattern over and over again. And like I said before, and like I'm going to say in future parts, it makes it too easy, and I just don't like it. The fight with just the X-Buster is actually pretty fun, but most people, when they play X4, they just use the weaknesses, which I understand why, but I wish more people, went through the entire game with just the X-Buster. You get a totally different experience, albeit a more difficult one, but still, it's a lot of fun, and I just wish more people did that. Anyways, from Storm Owl, we get a really weird wind weapon, but we'll be seeing it in part number 5 when we visit Magma Dragoon. I'll see you then!